Today's video was brought to you by Walter's Wacky Women. If your personality's lacking, let Walter give it a whackin'. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is 5 psychological tricks sociopaths use to manipulate you. Nothing's more fun than sociopaths. We have a lot of new subscribers. Leave a like, leave a comment. If it's your first time, make sure to subscribe. On with the video.
It's scarily true that the most powerful psychological tricks can be used against us to make good people do bad things. So in this video, we will be looking at the realm of persuasion that some call brainwashing to explore this.
Why is Clockwork Orange always the movie that people go to? Every time I see an example of brainwashing, it's this scene. It doesn't seem like the most relevant thing to use.
Psychological tricks that cults, sociopaths, and manipulative others use to make good people do those bad things.
She looks crazier than Manson.
These red flags prevent you from falling victim either in a toxic relationship.
I fucking hate when my bike is stuck on the wall. If only there was somewhere else to store a bike.
Or from a predatory organization.
Can Roman numerals just die? It stopped looking cool back when encyclopedias stopped being a thing.
The People's Temple was run by Jim Jones.
Oh god, I actually remember this. I watched the video. I'm not even going to link it because it's one of those things, once you watch it, you can't unwatch it. It's the people dying after they took the, whatever it was, they took the pills or whatever they drank, the Kool-Aid. It was a really bad poison, like cyanide or something. And you can hear like the kids crying because I guess the parents gave it to the kids too. It's so bad.
Jones eventually began to abuse his power.
If they play the audio here, I'm just going to cut it out.
Every member of the congregation to drink Flavor Aid laced with cyanide, all while living in a commune in Guyana. And in total, 918 people died.
So bad.
Second is Charles Manson.
There he is, the face you can't help but love. Look at that smile. He's like a non-gray Santa Claus. That guy comes down your chimney, you're in for a treat.
Convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and first-degree murder when his followers killed 7 people. And lastly, we have Keith Raniere, the founder of Nexium. And though this was billed as an executive success...
Oh, so they're not even Roman numerals. This guy's just a fucking moron. He thought he was so cool, man, using Roman numerals as actual letters. That's like something you do in junior high when you're trying to be cool and like draw cool shit on your notebook cover. And you're using fucking Roman numerals the wrong way.
Deeper layers of the organization involved the taking of female slaves for... Raniere was convicted in 2000.
Fucking looks like Mark Hamill. That is Luke Skywalker if he started a cult instead of using the Force. Or if he used the Force to start a cult. These are not the slaves you're looking for.
On several charges, including sex trafficking. So let's get to how seemingly good people wind up in these groups to avoid these exploitations.
People join cults because they want attention.
These can be complicated concepts, and watching this video more than once can help you to understand them better. Separating you and replacing the family unit. This means that groups are most likely to target people with weak family ties, as those make for the easiest converts. This Manson family member explains.
Go for the orphans.
That I was desperately seeking someone that I could love and hold on to and call my own.
If, like this woman, you don't have a strong family unit, you're likely to be more prone to loneliness.
You hear that? If you're not close with your family, you're going to join a cult. Better give your folks a hug, or it's off to the cult with you.
Insecurity, and potentially self-worth issues, which means that clever manipulators can use simple compliments to overwhelm these types of people.
I think this is one of the problems that I have with the way that serial killers and sociopaths are always made out to be clever and witty and all this shit, and it's like most of the time they're not. Most of the time they just got lucky. They found the right people at the right time. Maybe Ted Bundy, they say, was pretty charismatic, but I don't know, man. We glorify these people until they're more than they were. They're idiots.
For someone who feels this lack, the promise of love and a family is an insanely powerful motivator, one that could make them change everything in their life. And you hear this emphasized in conversations as well as in song. So Jim Jones, for instance, was only able to get people to drink cyanide because he'd moved them to an isolated community in Guyana, apart from relatives who would have shut all of this down.
That does seem to be the bond between all of these different groups, at least for cults. They do always seem to cut everyone off from the family. They either strongly discourage you from talking to your family, or they make your family out to be the bad guy, or they just won't let you talk to your family.
Petitioning the government to shut Jones down, it made sure that the only news that his congregation received was from his broadcast on the loudspeaker all day long.
North Korea and New Guinea.
There was a speaker system, and only Jim spoke on it.
Calling for the removal of all blacks.
Kim Jong-un.
Any kind of, update that could show us really that there's a whole other thing going on besides what Jim was
Air traffic
interpreting
control,
for
go on.
us.
Similarly, Charles Manson and his group lived together in an isolated ranch, and NXIVM pressured their members to move to the community in New York as they became more involved. And this brings us to the second psychological trick that is popular amongst these groups, and it's lingo or jargon, which is often used to disguise what is truly happening. For instance, in NXIVM, people who disagreed were not simply people who disagreed. They were labeled as suppressives who had undergone something called the fall. And by controlling the specific language, Raniere was able to control the connotation of what was happening.
But anything does this. Sports does this. Politics. You get these hot button keywords and you put a lot of emphasis on those phrases until those phrases stir an emotion, whether it's positive or negative, whatever you want it to do. It's just like an actual button. Whenever you need it, you press it and you get the reaction you want. Everyone does that. I don't think it's just cults.
Similarly, when Jim Jones had the people poison themselves and their families, he said this. Unpaid sales force. They pressure them as part of the program to get their friends and family to pay to sign up, but the word selling is highly discouraged. This process needs to be called enrollment.
I knew it. Enrollment is a cult word. Schools, shut them down.
I've been talking to different people about it and like different actors and things like that.
See, another lookalike. Doesn't she look like Lana? No. The girl from Smallville. For any of you guys old enough to remember Smallville.
Enrolling them in the idea of coming and participating and seeing what you've created.
Now, to be clear, there is nothing inherently wrong with specialized terminology or the use of metaphor within a group, and that is provided that you can have an open and honest discussion about why certain terms are necessary. For
That's
instance,
debatable.
to freely ask why we use the term enrollment, and that's not just sales in disguise. They demonize the asking of questions that threaten their authority. You can hear Jim
This guy looks like he just desires some food and water.
berating someone who had asked to go home from Guyana in this clip.
By Christmas, do you want to be gone?
Yeah, well, if
By
I
Christmas,
was
do you want to be gone? By Christmas, do you want to be
I
gone?
would ask you, could I go home to make a trip to see my people?
It's blasphemy. It's blasphemy to talk about going back when you have not been given any approval. Do you want to go home?
No.
Well, then be seated and shut your mouth and don't be in my face anymore.
God damn. Couldn't be like a fucking sadder looking guy. I don't want to go home, senor, see my family. Sit the fuck down. Shut up.
Be on the lookout for any games or tests that primarily reward obedience.
That sounds vague. That's just about any game or test. It rewards obedience. Here's your reward for doing the thing that you were asked to do. Pretty much life in general.
This example from the Manson family that encouraged members to shut off any self-directed thought and simply follow Charles Manson's lead.
One of his things was to stop you during the day, and he'd put your palms up to his, and then he'd move them in any direction that he could. Or he'd make a series of faces, and we were supposed to try to keep up with them.
Independent thought is demonized as selfish, sinful, or fearful. Jim Jones conducted various tests with his members, doing a mock fake poisoning.
He prepped them for suicide. That's fucking insane.
Members
What a
turn
lunatic.
in any loved ones that were thinking of leaving the commune in Guyana, which is a testament to blind obedience winning over even family ties.
A father would turn in a son, a husband would turn in a wife, a small child would turn in a parent. The most forbidden thing to express was to leave.
This sounds a lot like North Korea.
Your own desire to be fair is often used against you. Manson, for instance, swore that he'd do things for his followers that he probably wouldn't have.
But see, again, this is what I was talking about. They make it look like things that everyone does turns these people into mastermind manipulators.
And at NXIVM, anyone who doubted Raniere was reminded how much they owed to him.
If you question Keith Raniere, the hits the fan. How dare you? Don't you realize you owe everything to him?
This kind of fake reciprocity can unfortunately...
There's your mastermind. There's your manipulative, charismatic, criminal mastermind right here. He's a lunatic who got lucky and found the right people at the right time, the right drugs. I mean, dear Lord, look at him. What's going on with that hairline? That has got to be the most perfect receding hairline I've ever seen. He looks like he's prepped for a lobotomy.
And even outside of these types of predatory organizations. If you're walking down a crowded city street, offered a CD, a rose, or a knickknack, and then expected to pay for it, you've encountered this.
So when I went on my cruise to the Bahamas, and they would like here, take this free thing, and then they give it to you, and as soon as you grab it, they're wanting money. I guess they're just all fucking cult masterminds. I think we're just trying to romanticize and make something look like more than it is to give it more depth than it actually has.
Yourself in a relationship with someone who speaks often about what they would do for you, but you've never really seen it, there's a chance that they're engaging your sense of reciprocity in a way that could ultimately be damaging. Now, I hope that these tips have been useful.
Have these tips been useful to you? Are you going to use these to start your own cult? I hope they were helpful.
These red flags are everywhere in our society. Religions, the military, college sororities,
I was just saying this.
Even well-meaning friends often check several of these boxes because these psychological tricks are how you instill new ways of being into large groups of people.
But so that contradicts exactly what the whole video says, that these are the things that cults and masterminds and sociopaths use. And they're not. Most of them are things that everyone uses every day. Cults and masterminds just also use them because they're people. I hope this helped to go ahead and start your own cult. Leave a like. If you don't, you're a bad person. And you should not talk to your family about it either. See you later.